Hi, this is Donna Rapp from Tulsa, Oklahoma. My paper is on effective marriage building strategies utilizing family ministry. I'd like to begin with an article by WebMD called The 4 Secrets to Having a Spectacular Marriage. It asks the question, what do couples who describe their marriages as spectacular do differently than those who describe their marriages as simply so-so? The differences are quite small, actually. When we look at happy couples, we see that great marriages are not the result of hours of hard work, says relationship researcher Terry L. Orbuck, Ph.D. She followed 373 couples for over 22 years as part of a marriage study funded by the National Institute of Health. It's small changes in behavior and attitude that can transform your relationship, she says. So what if the changes require a sacrifice on your part? The Oklahoma Healthy Marriage Coalition says, the price of admission for most worthwhile things in life is sacrifice. It cannot be purchased, and you can't have someone else do it for you on your behalf. A healthy marriage is an excellent example of this principle. No amount of money can buy you a healthy or happy marriage, and no one else can make the sacrifices necessary for you to have a healthy and happy marriage. If you want a happy marriage, you have to be willing to make sacrifices. There's no other way around it. By sacrifice, we mean giving up some of your personal time, your wants, your dreams for the good of the marriage. One example was a husband that quit riding motorcycles because it caused a lot of anxiety in his wife. So the sacrifices can be big ones or they can be small ones. But like a farmer who makes sacrifices for a farm, if you make sacrifices for your marriage, you will see the fruits of those sacrifices increase many times as you experience a lifelong, healthy, and happy marriage. In other words, we reap what we sow, which is a biblical sound principle that we know of. Sometimes the unhappy person in the marriage is blaming their partner, though, for making them unhappy. If they would try to improve their contribution to the relationship, it might help. Usually the only person you can change is yourself anyway. Just because someone is married doesn't mean that they should stop working on their relationship with their spouse or with God. Many times when troubles come, and not if, couples aren't expecting them. And so they're not ready or prepared, and they give up way too soon. About 95% of married couples are either satisfied or very satisfied with their marital relationship. This is going back to the Oklahoma Healthy Marriage Coalition, again, where these statistics come from. The unhappy 5% will either cycle back into the 95% group or get divorced. At some point, almost all marriages will transition into the unhappy 5%, but most move back into the 95% group over time. That made me think of in Garland's book where they talked about, I think it was Garland, where they talked about having trouble in their marriage, but they stayed and worked, and eventually those things were resolved, and now they have a very satisfying and happy marriage. And so being persistent, being committed, those are traits that contribute to keeping marriages together, and over time those things will work themselves out usually. But a problem, as long as a couple is satisfied with their marital relationship, is that they're not likely to learn tools that can help them if they do have problems or if they do enter back into that unhappy group. So if people know ahead of time how to prevent problems in their marriage, then they are less likely to get divorced. So it's important to provide those tools for the prevention of problems. Those would be things like communication skills, conflict resolution, teaching on commitment, which may be attitude adjustments and so forth. The church can provide also spiritual directors who focus on teaching personal spiritual disciplines first, and then working on the marriage as a follow-up or as a second priority. The church can provide role modeling. The church can provide mentoring and accountability partners. And very importantly, the church can provide prayer partners. I don't feel that this can be overemphasized how important prayer for and by the couple is. There's nothing that Satan would like better than to hinder our prayers between husband and wife. And so it's so important that we pray for people and that they resolve their conflicts. And it's important that in the church that these couples find sympathetic and compassionate people that they can turn to when they do experience times of trouble or times of stress. And the church can offer a variety of opportunities for people to become faith families. There should be a place for everyone in our churches to fit in somewhere. There should be a place for everyone to fit in somewhere in our churches. And so back to the WebMD article. In conclusion, the most effective way to boost fun and passion in marriage is to add positive elements to it. That positive energy makes us feel good and motivates us to keep going in that direction. If you want a happier relationship, the positive side needs to far outweigh the bad. The more you honor the love and joy in your bond, the sooner you'll transform your marriage into one that is truly great. So they're recommending that we don't focus on the negative parts of the relationship, but rather look at the positive ones and try to increase those and encourage them to make them grow in the relationship, and that would transform the marriage into one that is truly great. And actually, I would add to that the focus needs to shift even from us to Him, to God, and what He would require from our marriage and from our relationship. Because if we're putting Him first, then everything else would work for our good and for His kingdom purposes. Thank you.